All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Today's session is all about identifying the best social media channel for your accounting practice. So, before we begin, I would just like to introduce myself as your host for today. So, I'm Hui Wen, and I support accounting practices in Asia that are working in partnership with Xero. So, I'm pleased to introduce to you Lionel and Denise. They are the co-founders of Playmakers Private Limited. So Lina and Denise, if you could unmute yourself, say hello to the crowd and give a short introduction of yourself as well as Playmakers.
Cool. Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Lionel. I am one half of the duo that founded Playmakers. We are basically a boutique marketing and brand consultancy agency in Singapore, and we specialize in helping SMEs with their businesses, obviously here in Singapore as well. So I'm the one that is in charge of account management, and the better looking of the two is Denise, who is the other lady that you see on this chat.
Hi everyone, my name is Denise. Very nice to meet all of you today. Thanks for attending this session. So I am the co-founder of Playmakers together with Lionel, and together we will be taking you through the session today, and I do hope that you guys will all enjoy yourself.
Awesome. Thanks for the quick introduction and very happy to be hosting today's session with you. It's really great to see everyone coming from like different parts of Asia. I think that's also the beauty of a virtual event. So without further ado, let's get into the agenda for today. So thanks for taking an hour off your schedule to join us at this webinar, and I hope you will leave the session with lots of new insights on social media marketing. So before Lina and Denise jump in to share more about social media, let me first give you a quick introduction of Xero as well as the Partner Marketing Fund that we offer under the Partner Program. Thereafter, they will bring you through the fundamentals of social media marketing before they dive deeper into the top 3 social media platforms, namely Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. Thereafter, they will also be sharing tips on identifying the right social media channel for your practice. So before we wrap up the sessions today, I'll also bring you through how you can apply for the Partner Marketing Fund. So at any point in time, if you have any questions for us, feel free to pop them in the Q&A box and we'll get to them towards the end. So without further ado, let's get into it. So just a quick introduction of Xero. We are a cloud accounting platform that connects small business and their advisors with real-time financial data. However, we are here to offer you more than just cloud accounting. We want to help you and your clients grow and thrive. So over here are stats about Xero. As of 31st March this year, we are pleased to be helping over 2.74 million small businesses do beautiful business with cloud accounting. On top of that, we are also glad to be supporting over 100,000 accounting practices to enhance their collaboration with their clients. So we are continuously investing in our product, and as I mentioned before, we want to be more than just an accounting platform for your practice. So we have built integrations with over 1,000 ad partners in our connected ad ecosystem and connections with over 300 financial institutions. So all these are built with the idea in mind that you and your clients can enjoy a seamless flow of information across the various business functions. So now that we have a good understanding of what Xero is, I would like to talk a bit more about the Xero Partner Program, where over 100,000 accountants and bookkeepers are already a part of. So the Partner Program is complimentary for accounting and bookkeeping firms, and as a Xero partner, you are entitled to lots of benefits, which includes a dedicated account manager, free training resources, lead generation opportunities, and not forgetting Partner Marketing Fund, which is part of the reason why we are all gathered here today. So, what is the Partner Marketing Fund? The Partner Marketing Fund is one of the many benefits offered under the program, where we help to fund the marketing activities that eligible Xero partners have invested in to promote their Xero partner status. So our partner tiers in the Xero Partner Program range from starter to platinum. And no matter which partner tier you are in, you'll always have the support from your Xero account manager who's there to help you grow your practice. So this includes an opportunity to have your account manager speak at an event that you have organized to promote your services as a Xero certified advisor. All silver, gold, and platinum partners are eligible to claim from the Partner Marketing Fund with varying entitlements. So as you can see on the screen right now, silver partners can claim up to 1,300 per annum, gold partners can claim up to 5,800, and platinum partners can claim up to 10,800. So you may be wondering what kind of marketing support activities do we support? So we do support a wide range of marketing activities, And here are some of the popular examples that Xero partners have been claiming for. So we are noticing an increasing trend to shifting your marketing strategies online. So digital marketing has been top of the list for many of our Xero partners, which includes social media ads or digital billboard ads. So yeah, if you're starting to think of running social media ads after today's session, you can reach out to Playmakers for some expert advice on effective social media marketing. Some other marketing activities that we support include content marketing, website development, production of marketing materials, and even offline activities such as mass media advertising. So the marketing activities that we support are not limited to what you see on the screen here. So if you have any questions, it's always a good idea to check in with your Xero account manager to assess the validity of your claims. So now that we know social media marketing is one of the approved marketing activities, let's hear more from Denise and Lina, who will introduce us to the world of social media. Over to both of you.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, Raymond, for the introduction as well as bringing us through some of the basics of the Xero Marketing Fund. So my name is Lino. For those of you who may have just came in or may not have heard me earlier, I will bring you through the first half of today's webinar itself that is done by Playmakers. Essentially, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk you through the basics of 3 of the most popular social media platforms that businesses use in not just Singapore but globally as well. I think just before we get to the thick of things, just a couple of notes. And number one is that with a webinar like this, because we have a wide range of spectrum in terms of users and business owners, as well as even marketing leads or anybody in your company that's attending this webinar, we have a disparaging level of competency when it comes to social media usage. So if there are some of the information in here that may seem quite basic for some of you, I do hope that you give us some patience, just because we want to make sure everyone is kind of brought to the same level as well. And that also kind of funnels towards the 2-part series of this webinar itself, which is that for the first one, Denise and myself will bring you through the basics of, again, how these social media platforms work for businesses specifically, and why and how you can actually use them to your advantage. And then in the second part of this series on the 24th, we will then go a bit deeper as to the mechanics behind getting these platforms to actually work for you in terms of getting the ads boosted, as well as how you can do your targeting more effectively as well. So in a sense, this first session that Denise and I will bring you through will be more of an interest level, and kind of just to clear the air about some of the myths or maybe lack of clarity about these platforms. At any point in time, of course, you can put your questions in the Q&A and we'll answer them at the end of the session. All right, so let's just jump into it. Just a quick introduction. I mean, I kind of touched on it just now, but I just wanted to let you know in case you wanted to reach out to us after this. Playmakers basically is a boutique agency, right? We specialize in digital marketing as well as branding, and we've helped a number of SMEs in Singapore, not just set up their social media and digital presence, but also revive their brand for those that have been around for a while and may have stagnated or lost that ability to bring in new clients. So we come in from a problem-solving standpoint before we bring in any solutions or any marketing ideas at all. What we like to do is we sit down with clients and try and understand first the problems, and if and when we can solve them, we would then bring in the solutions that will be more pertinent to solving them. In the event that we cannot, obviously, then we would then refer them to the next best team or company that can do it. That said, we've really focused a lot on human-centric thinking. So a lot of what we do are based on basically something very simple, which is that you want to get more clients, right? Like, I think the reason all of us, if not most of us, are here today is basically to actually see how we can actually secure more clients, more leads for our business, and also how we can actually get people to basically find out more about your brand, right? And essentially, that's the essence of everyone that's in, a business ownership standpoint or a key marketing or a leadership role. So that's what we want to try and achieve with digital marketing as well. So in that sense, when we look at that, Playmakers has been advising clients for quite a number of years now. And a lot of the response that we get when we talk to clients who are actually thinking of going into digital marketing is that, number one, I don't really have the time or the money for it because I'm running a business. I have a small business and every day I have fires to fight. I have staff to hire, I have to manage people, manage customers, suppliers, and I just simply don't have the time to do anything on social media. For those who may have a bigger amount of resource, some of them actually tell us that, okay, yeah, we have a marketing / salesperson that does it, but he or she kind of does it on his or her own time. So I just let him or her do it when they can, right? And to us, that is something that is very, very understandable and also very natural because, at the end of the day, if you're running a business, no one has time to be posting on Facebook if there is a crisis to be solved. And if you're only one person or you only have a small team to work for you, obviously the priorities are to keep the business going. So the purpose here again, is for us to also try and maybe in a way, clarify on some of the myths that may surround social media and also how and why some people or business owners choose not to go on to social media. That brings me to my third and fourth points as well, which is that, when it comes to social media platforms, a lot of business owners feel that because it's something that is number one, either something that they're not clear about, or number two, they actually don't see it as important for their business. They tend to deprioritize these platforms. So when we actually talk about social media, a lot of people think about it as, I'm using it only when I have the time, when I'm done, after a long day of work, or when I'm actually trying to find some entertainment or looking at some videos or my friends' updates. Now, those are all true. And social media is like many other marketing efforts, it's very much pertinent on how you use it. So if you think back, in the past, when it comes to what we call traditional marketing, when it comes to even newsletters or television or radio advertising, it's only as effective as the message is well written. And so I think if anything that you take away from today's webinar from my end of this portion, it is that when you actually start to embark on social media or digital marketing, the first and most important thing is that when you actually post or create any content, you do have to make sure that you are spending time to firstly think about what you want to do and what you want to say. When I say spending time, I don't mean hours and days and weeks. It can literally be just 10 or 15 minutes or just sitting down and thinking about what you want to say before you actually post it or get someone to post it. Now, we will get into the details of that process itself, but I think what I'm trying to say here is that when it comes to why a lot of small and medium enterprise business owners and leaders, why they don't go on social media or digital marketing, they actually give us these reasons: lack of time, lack of budget to do it, and also because of the lack of familiarity. The last one, of course, then is, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to start. It seems all a bit too intense. I don't even know what to do, right? I know how to post, but then what do I do after that? How do I boost and add and stuff like that? So that part we'll get into in the second webinar itself. But in the sense, hopefully with today's webinar, when I get through the Facebook platform and Denise gets through Instagram and LinkedIn, you will start to feel that it's not as scary and it's not as intimidating to create content, but conversely, it would actually be quite fun, right? At the end of the day, let's also just keep in mind that for social media, it is number one meant to be social, right? So you want to create content that people will find entertaining and people will find engaging. So when we get into the platforms itself, right, as a whole, we will touch on the three most popular platforms, which is Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. That said, in the year 2021, which is now and going forward, one of the biggest trends that we are seeing also is that these platforms are now becoming what we call the mainstream platforms when it comes to digital marketing. There are more and more platforms that are sprouting out nowadays. So you have brands and platforms that you may hear of, like TikTok, Telegram, Clubhouse, as well as Snapchat and many others as well. The point here is not to feel like you have to go on every platform. And I think that's the number one key takeaway, because at the end of the day, it's not about being in every platform. It's about being in a platform that works effectively for you as a brand and as a business to reach your customers. Number two, and leading on from point one, to better able to reach the audiences that you want, you have to also understand where these users are populating in. So if I were running a business that is an accounting practice versus a retail business, the target audience that I'm trying to reach may be in very different platforms. Not to say that there's only one or the other, they could be on multiple platforms, but at the end of the day, when you talk about limited budget and limited time, you want to be able to spend those effectively as well. So those are things that we keep in mind when we consult and we actually advise our clients as well. How do you spend not just your money, but your time well, so that you don't spend too much time for too little results as well. So at the end of the day, it's all about choosing the right social media platform for your practice. All right. Now, before I get into Facebook, just one last detail and kind of just to set up the picture. In Singapore itself, and I'm very aware that we have audiences from the regional countries as well, but this is kind of just to give you some context. In Singapore as well, we have a population of about, if I'm not wrong, around 5 to 6 million. And the penetration rate in Singapore is pretty high, or is actually very high. So we're talking about almost 5 million social media users in Singapore as of January of this year. Now, social media penetration stands at about 84%, as you see on the screen. Again, this is very high for a country, compared to regionally, but it gives you an idea of the potential that businesses that are either in Singapore or are looking to tap into Singapore's consumers can actually reach, right? So I'll just let that sink in for a second. And if you look at the infographic below it, you see a small breakdown of the numbers as well. And when you look at the number at the fourth, below the fourth icon, which states that there's about 4.96 million. So that's just below 5 million. Sorry, give me 1 second. It was an overhead plane going by. Okay, sorry. So as I was saying, we have about just below 5 million users at this point. That is a very big number, and this is just Singapore itself. So in regional countries, those numbers are much bigger as well, and we can see that just simply from looking at the number of followers that, for example, social media influencers have in Singapore versus in Indonesia or Thailand, right? Or even other countries as well. Now, the reason why this is important, right, is not just because of that big number. It's also for you to understand that when you have a potential pool of 5 million users, it's not to say that you're going to reach 5 million. Even to reach 1 million would be a big milestone. But it also shows you the amount of potential that you can reach when you actually spend your marketing dollar well on social media itself. Now, again, I'll get into more of the thick of things on how you can do that. But I think that the point that I'm trying to make here is that at the end of the day, the COVID-19 pandemic has actually driven the rise of social media users around the region and globally, because everyone's forced to stay at home and everyone has to learn how to spend their time a bit more effectively and even alter some of their daily habits to actually be able to cater to the restrictions that we have. So for example, in Singapore, currently we are in a semi-lockdown state where we have to stay at home to dine. We can't dine outside. So a lot of businesses have had, since last year to pivot to actually catering towards deliveries as well as online orders. And that has driven the social media engagement up much higher. While that means that for businesses, that space is now more crowded, with effective advertising and targeting, you can actually break through the clutter, and that's not hard to do. You just need to understand the basics of it and why you're doing it, like I said earlier, and also just have the content that is made to bring that message forward. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into Facebook itself, and then I'm going to pass it over to Denise to bring you through Instagram and LinkedIn. All right, next slide, please, Denise. Thank you. All right, so for Facebook, I think if anything, out of the three platforms that we're talking today, Facebook will be the one platform that easily everybody will be most familiar with. I would probably dare to wager that all of us here, or if not most of us here, would have a personal Facebook account. And probably many of you would have a Facebook account for your business as well, or even multiple accounts as well. Now, the quote that you see here, a platform for meaningful content, this is actually a little bit old, a quote now, but this was from Facebook's founder, Mark Zuckerberg. Essentially, he actually said this in 2017 and 2018, where he actually laid out his plans for Facebook, right? So that, to give you a bit of context, that was basically platforms beginning in terms of moving towards a monetization model for a lot of its businesses. So Facebook has been around since 2007 and even earlier for some users in the US. And for the past decade or so, they have been actually focused on getting as many, or they had been actually focused on getting as many users as possible within the first decade of their existence. And they were very, very successful with it. And that's how many of us probably, even got on this platform in the first place. And after that, or stemming from that success, the Facebook management team then decided that, okay, from here on, we're going to focus on how we want to monetize it. Because at the end of the day, Facebook is also a business, and they have to, give their shareholders and investors something back at the end of the day. So that's when they actually ramped up their monetization platform. And that actually, for businesses, was a great starting point, because that was when they really focused on giving us the tools to effectively and more easily advertise on Facebook itself. But the one rule that actually govern everything that we are to do on Facebook to achieve some sort of success for us and also our clients is that it had to be something that was meaningful. And I know that this is a very, very ambiguous term, right? I mean, meaningful means basically almost everything and nothing at the same time. But from there, we kind of teased out what content we could actually push for our clients and also advise our clients to push. Now, again, I don't want this to sound too intimidating, because it's really not meant to be. So I'll simplify this in layman's term. Meaningful content just essentially means content that you would want to see yourself as a user, as much as you would want your users and your followers and your potential customers to see as well. So when you look at some of the best ads that you may remember on Facebook, and some of those content that have garnered the most amount of likes, you will notice that these content are not just your simple run-of-the-mill kind of ads, or very wordy ads, or ads that basically didn't have any meaning or was just very confusing from the get-go. So Facebook started to clamp down on these ads that were just not going to drive some sort of engagement in their users within the Facebook community as well. All right. So I'm going to jump into some of the formats here, as well as some of the types of ads first, just to give you a bit of an idea. So when we look at Facebook, right, like I said just now, it's one of the most popular platforms in Singapore, as well as globally, and in many countries. I would say not all, but many countries. Number one is that because of its high penetration rate in Singapore, as well as, again, many countries, you have the luxury of basically the widest audience. So essentially, the moment you post, you have the attention of the users that you are targeting, and that pool is much bigger as compared to other platforms. Number two, Facebook has actually, because of its first movers status, been able to provide the most number of ad formats that you can actually post in. Now, for those who don't really understand what ad format means, so when you look at any ads or any content that brands put out on Facebook, you'll notice that you have the usual ones, like just a picture and some words, like what you see on the screen here by Xero. That would be what we call the most basic kind of posting. The second one would then be a video ad. And then you have other forms of ads as well, like carousel, like landscape. I will go into some of the examples later, but essentially what I'm trying to say here is that Facebook gives you that flexibility to post what you want and how you want to do it. So if let's say you have a video and you want to post it, you can do that. If you have a few pictures, because one picture just doesn't do enough justice to the product or the service that you want to advertise, you can do that as well. You can do a multiple picture ad as well. If you want to drive a click-through, right, you can add a button at the bottom as well. And those are just the basic functions, right? So the diverse amount of formats that are available on Facebook allows you to have that advantage. Number four, or more importantly, the ease of engagement on this platform, right? It's just simply because everyone uses Facebook has bring Facebook into the forefront of advertising in terms of marketing spend by big brands and small and medium enterprises alike. And of course, the last one, which we will get into in the next session, is basically the huge amount of functions that you can access with Facebook Ad Manager, which is the behind the scenes workhorse that powers the ads that you will post. And this is available to every single business owner or business account owner on Facebook. All right. So like I was saying just now, I'm going to bring you through some of the very common Facebook formats. The first one, and starting from the left side, this is the most basic one, which is what we call static images. So you can post 1 picture, 5 pictures, you can post as many pictures as you want that actually suits your requirements or the product that you want to push, and accompany it with a text. Now, the example that we have included here, if you can see, I know it's a bit small, but we will send you the deck after this anyway. You can zoom in to get a better view. The example here on the left is basically a news platform or a trade publication platform for the travel industry in Asia, whereby the Playmakers team actually helped the client to summarize their daily headlines, because they have multiple articles that go out in a day. And what we did was we took the cover picture of every article and we posted them for the top 5 headlines. And then we included them in the caption itself. Now, this is a good example of how you can use multiple pictures that, if done well, can actually help to spread your chances of getting the attention of users themselves, right? So that's the first one and the basic format. Moving on to the second one, your videos format. Again, this is quite self-explanatory. So using a video to basically push your content instead of a static picture. Now, this one is an established practice that we try to push to our clients. Again, I know that the moment I say, please start thinking about doing videos, everybody starts to feel like, oh, okay, this is not me. Like, it's too complicated. I don't have a camera. I don't have the content. I don't have the time. But let me just also assure you in saying that it's not about creating TV commercial standard kind of videos. It can actually be about just recording an employee that, has information to share that would be useful to your clients. Or you can even share other people's videos that you feel is very aligned or are very aligned to the values of your company or the product that you're trying to sell, right? Number 3, online nowadays, there are many stock videos that are available. So you can actually use them whenever and wherever you want to actually push out videos for yourselves as well. So it's easy to download them and create them, and then just write what you want in the caption itself. Moving on to the formats, the next one is what we call Facebook events. So I think many of you who have actually done this on your personal level, you probably would have attended one of these, or at least click, I want to attend or I do not want to attend at some point in your life. This is where, if let's say, for example, you are going to create, for example, like today, a virtual webinar, or you simply have a town hall meeting, or you want to actually speak to your followers, you can actually create an event to do that. Now, post-COVID, hopefully soon, when we are able to organize events again, this would then become even more relevant, whereby you can actually create this as almost like a virtual invite to send out to users who may be interested in your event, but don't know about it yet. And this includes trainings, webinars, simply networking events, or even just get-togethers. The last one, and I think I mentioned this earlier as well, we call this article sharing. So this is where we always recommend this to clients who really are time-starved. What we try and tell them to do is, okay, in your own personal time as a business lead, or even a key member of your staff, I'm sure that you actually go on Channel News Asia or the newspaper in your country, or Forbes, or anything at all that talks about either something that's going on in the economy, in your industry, or even your trade presses. And what you can do is that you can actually share these articles via the link, or if they have posted it on their social media platform, you can actually share that article or that link as well, so that they can then also start to be populated on your brand platform, so that your followers can actually see the article as well. Then you can then use that authority from that article to then push your messaging, right? So if, let's say, for example, I'm a travel agency, and I see this article here, Channel News Asia writing about, 5 adults only luxury resorts in Southeast Asia. Again, back when travel was allowed, I would then share this and say, we have a certain promotion, for example, or looking to get away without the kids for the weekend. Here are some of the ideas that we have as well. So these are many ways that we can basically, in a way, circumvent that requirement to create content on our own, and actually borrow off other brands' content as well. The only caveat I would say to this is be choiceful in what you share. So make sure to fact check them. Make sure that you share articles that are not meant to be like a parody or satirical, or worse still, from a not so credible source, because that might make your business appear less credible as well. All right. Now, before I pass off to Denise, I'm going to end off with some of Facebook's best practices, or what we call best practices when you actually use a platform like Facebook. All right. So number one, and for fear of sounding like a broken recorder, always play to Facebook's strength, right? And this applies across the 3 platforms that we'll talk about today. The first thing is that, let's go back to basics. You have the option of any format that you want to use in terms of the visual that you want to feature, but you have to write a caption at the very least. So always understand the rules of the game. So having a caption and a picture is always what you have to do, right? So when you think about it from that standpoint, think about it as 2 elements that have to work together. Do not post a picture and a caption that talks about something different, because that will make your brand look a bit, for lack of a better word, disjointed, or unclear about what you want to tell your customer. The one on the left-hand side that you see by a brand or a company called Numbers Management is a client that that Playmakers help here in Singapore. It's a boutique accounting firm. And what we did is that we helped them with their marketing. And if you can tell, for those who are, who have a sharper eye, the image that we've used here is a stock image. So we just basically went on Shutterstock and we borrowed an image, and we actually, obviously paid a small fee, I think something about $1 to $5, to actually use that image on our platform for our clients. And basically we added in the caption and the headline on the left side of the picture that you saw. So you can do something like this, which is really honestly doesn't take much time. And then just craft a caption to basically say what your business is trying to do. If you are someone that is more of a wordsmith, you can write a more catchy or witty headline. If not, just simply write what you do and allow the visual to do the work. Always rest assured that in the second session, with the targeting and the boosting that's going to help, that will be the additional push that this post that you do will then help to get the customers that you want. The second and third examples are basically property listings, as well as Etihad Airways, which is an airlines from the Middle East. Basically, what they have done is use very captivating pictures to actually bring across the points that they want to actually push, right? So again, this doesn't necessarily have to be pictures that they took themselves. They could have easily bought this online. So I believe that for Etihad Airways, for example, which is the last example on the right, those are actually either stock images or images that they have gotten from the tour bureau in each of those countries. So you just have to be a little bit of a bit more creative, or maybe open-minded in terms of the visual that you want to use, and you'll start to realize that it's actually not that complex. You don't have to be an award-winning photographer or engage a professional to do it. Number 2. In terms of playing to Facebook's strength, always remember that because it's the most interactive and it's the most flexible, try and see how your ad can actually work in these different formats. So if you remember just now, one of the other formats that I mentioned was the Facebook carousel format. So the one you see on the bottom left hand is by BMW or Performance Motors in Singapore, that's in charge of BMW, the car brand. What they've done is that they've actually used 4 different car models, and they've actually featured them almost like a slideshow format. And what that effectively does is that if you are not someone that would buy, for example, a luxury sedan, but you might be more interested in a smaller model, they still are able to capture your attention because, for example, if let's say, for example, I'm not going to buy the iX3, I'm going to buy, for example, a 1 series, right? They can actually change the pictures and even the order of those pictures to target the users that they want. And Facebook actually allows us to dynamically change the order of the pictures in terms of the user that is looking at it based on his or her own interests. So that's something that you as a brand owner don't have to manually do, but with a little bit of understanding as to how Ad Manager works, Facebook actually helps do the other half of the work, which is to go through the understanding and the data of each of the user that is looking at your ad or potentially looking at your ad, and actually feed the content that they feel is more relevant to that person's likes and habits as well. So for example, if I am 30 plus years old, I have kids, I might be more interested in an SUV versus a sports model. Facebook will actually feed the picture of the SUV in front of it to me, as opposed to the sporty version of that model. So Facebook is able to do that as well, automated. The second one is the video format. So the Shopify example that you see here, this is very simple. Basically, what Shopify did is just use the video of how a case study would work of a brand that's using Shopify, and actually show that, look, it's very simple to just get on Shopify and use their platform. Shopify, by the way, is an e-commerce plugin that you can use to tag onto your website to actually sell items, basically. So it's a plug and play app that you can actually install and obviously pay on a subscription basis. The last one is what I call the call, or what we call the call to action button. So this is something that you want to actually get your customers to do after they have seen the ad. So again, bringing back our example from numbers management, what we did here was we talked about what we did and what you can actually get from it as a company that requires, let's say, for example, bookkeeping or auditing services. And then the next thing that you would be interested in finding out is to see, okay, how do I find out more, right? In this example, we had a get quote button, which allows the user to click on it and go on to either the website to get a quotation or request a quotation, or you can actually click on it and speak on WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger with a designated person of numbers management to basically ask your questions live. So that is one of the other formats or functions that Facebook actually provides as well, so that you can then be able to get that follow-up that you need immediately. All right, the last few. Again, going back to playing to Facebook's strength, if you are able to tag partner companies or brands even that you feel are beneficial to your business, that definitely helps. So let's say, for example, if you're working with a brand to give out some free merchandise for them, or if you are simply sharing Channel News Asia's or anybody's article, try to tag those brands on it. So for example, if I'm sharing a Time magazine article, I would recommend tagging Time magazine on it to say, for example, check out this Time magazine article on blah, 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 so that it doesn't only, rephrase. The reason why we want to do that is not just to be able to get the Time magazine tag, but more importantly, for Facebook to also help you to actually generate more users that might be interested in this Time article to look at your content. So this can be done even without boosting an ad, but it will also help Facebook to push this content to users that are following you more effectively. Last one is that hashtags are useful, and do use them. Hashtag stemmed from Instagram, the use of hashtags. But as of the last few years, a lot of brands and businesses have started to use them as well. And using hashtags are great if you use them effectively. So don't flood them. Don't use 30 or 40 tags or hashtags in one post. Facebook, number one, will deprioritize your ad and also restrict the number of hashtags that you can use. if they deem it as something that you're trying to do just to do a shotgun approach whereby you hashtag almost everything. So try and be more specific with your hashtags. Use them to actually pull content that you feel are relevant. So for example, if I am a bakery, try not to do hashtag cakes, hashtag food, hashtag, I don't know, bake, do something more specific to what you want to talk about in that post. So if I'm pushing out a promotion, for example, you can do hashtag bake promotion or food promotion. Something that really helps Facebook to fine tune who they are targeting, as opposed to keeping it broad and getting more attention, but then the people that are looking at it may not be interested in buying your product. All right, I think I just got one more slide before I finish. Yeah, so this one is a little bit of you require a bit of in a way, a technical know-how, but when you do any posting, the recommendation is always try and use what we call a trackable link. Now, trackable links are very basic, but they are a free way for you to find out how you can actually drive people from your Facebook page to another site that you might want them to go to. So if you remember my earlier example of numbers management, if I want to drive them to my client's website, I'll use a trackable link that is linked to my client's website. And when I actually download the data from that trackable link, I'm able to see how many people clicked on that link and where they were from in terms of country. So not specifically as to your address or anything, but just in terms of country. And for some of the trackable links providers, they are also able to give you certain information like the gender of the user as well as the age group. That will help you to get a better idea of who the customers that are looking at your content are, and also how, for example, how long they've spent on the website and what they did after they got onto their website. Again, this is a little bit more technical, but it's very simple to actually do and it's free. So all you have to do is type trackable link on Google if you are one who are interested to find out and you are into doing it yourself. And you should be able to find a lot of information on this. All right. So this last bit in terms of the best practices that goes into the ad management itself, I'm not going to touch on them today, but essentially what they're telling you is that you should always try to boost your content or try and put a little bit of money behind sponsoring your ad. The reason why I'm not going into this today is because it would then lead to what we call the Facebook Ad Manager as well as Business Manager. And we'll cover that in the next session. But essentially, because Facebook has moved on to a monetization platform, a lot of the content, easily 99.9% of the content that businesses post have to be boosted or sponsored before they can get users to see them. If you do not boost your ad, you will not get users. That is the harsh truth of the platform. But the good news is that the amount can be as low as $5 a day, for example, for as long as you want. If you want to do it for 3 days, that's fine. If you want to do it for a month, that's fine. But obviously that $5 can go up to, thousands of dollars if you so wish to. So in that sense, we choose to advise our clients to look at it as a strength rather than a weakness. Social media has gone a long way from the limitations of traditional media. If you think about radio, TV, etc., those are very expensive platforms, and those are non-trackable to a large extent, and those require high expenditure from the start. Social media platforms allow you to experiment at a low price or lower price and calibrate as you go along, as you learn your lessons in terms of who's looking at it, how to target better, how to create better content as well. So in a way, Facebook gives more power to the people, and that sense, the reason for boosting your ad is even more powerful and more compelling. All right, so with that, I'm going to pass over to Denise, who will bring you through LinkedIn and Instagram.
Thanks, Lionel. Hi, everyone. My name is Denise from the Playmakers team, and I'll be taking you through the remaining portion of the session today to introduce LinkedIn as well as Instagram. So Lionel has gone through a very, very detailed explanation of social media in general and also Facebook. So for LinkedIn and Instagram, because they are pretty similar, so I won't go through the nitty-gritty details, but we can always take any questions at the end of the session. Okay. So let's talk about LinkedIn. Now, similar to Facebook, LinkedIn is a social media network. But rather than connecting with your family and friends, LinkedIn connects business professionals with one another, and it's commonly used as a B2B marketing tool. So on an individual or personal level, you are able to create your own profile pages. So for those with accounts, you would be able to, publicly share your job titles, your educational backgrounds, your professional skills. But as a brand or a business, you are also able to create brand pages to share content and engage with those within your targeted industry. So unlike Facebook, where the content is, a lot more casual and personal, the type of content that people post on LinkedIn are mostly related to industry happenings, which is why LinkedIn is often seen as a virtual B2B networking platform used by B2B marketers to connect with their target communities and to drive that awareness and generate leads. But it's important to note that the kind of content that you post should be specifically crafted to appeal and engage with this professional community on LinkedIn. For many of you here who run or you belong to an accounting practice, LinkedIn is probably the most natural fit for you because your business is already B2B in nature. So the content that you should post should be crafted to target businesses that may be looking out for, accounting services or solutions. Whereas if, let's say, you run a B2C business, the kind of content you post on LinkedIn would need to be differentiated from the content that you post on Facebook. Because a lot of B2C brands, what they do is they will use LinkedIn as a tool to share internal updates or company updates, such as employee engagement programs, or they would announce a leadership movement, things like that. So whether you're a B2B or a B2C business, before you rush into using any social media platform, we do encourage you to first define that role of the platform for your business. So is it to connect with the community and just to build that brand love? Or is your primary objective to increase credibility and generate leads for your business? So, these are the kind of questions that you have to ask yourself before you start crafting any content at all. Another plus point that LinkedIn actually has is it's very robust and advanced ad targeting capabilities. Now, if you look at the screen grabs on the right side of this slide, these are just some examples of the kind of targeting that you can choose from the LinkedIn Ad Manager. Again, we will be deep diving into this in our next session. But what you can see is that the campaign manager makes it very easy for you to choose the target audiences based on their job functions, seniority, the industry that they are in, and many, many more. And because of these advanced targeting functions that LinkedIn provides, usually the cost to run ads on LinkedIn is a lot higher. I would say sometimes even 10 times higher than what you would have to pay on Facebook. But while you don't get that reach that you would get on Facebook, what you will get and what you can be assured to receive is a very targeted and relevant audience that you are reaching, and a lot more quality leads that you will be generating for your business. Now, coming to the more, the more common post formats that you would see on LinkedIn. Again, there are quite a number to choose from, but these are just the top 3 that we wanted to share with all of you today. So namely static images. So this is probably the most common one that you would see. A lot of brands, because of the kind of technical information that they have, they usually use little bite-sized sort of images and infographics to present the information. And we do encourage that as well, especially if your business products or services are hard to understand. Then, of course, you would also have your videos to share. Now, videos are a very powerful tool in all social media platforms. So whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, videos are able to capture attention more easily simply because there is some animation, there's some movement within the visual. So it is also important to note that whether you're a person using Facebook or you're a person using LinkedIn, your attention span is equally short. So you need to be able to craft your post in a manner that can stand out from all the other content that your peers are posting or other brands are posting. And especially because the ads in LinkedIn are so expensive, you don't want to limit your results by boosting something that will not be as effective as it should be. The third format, which is very, very common on LinkedIn itself, even more so than Facebook, if I would say, would be article sharing. And this is because a lot of brands on LinkedIn, they do write thought leadership articles, or they do have blog posts on their website. So this is a very good platform for professionals to get a deeper understanding of the industry by reading these long form articles. And chances are the professionals scrolling through LinkedIn are interested or have that time to spare when it comes to improving their industry knowledge about a subject matter. So more often than not, you will see a lot of articles being shared on LinkedIn. And this brings me to the best practices that you should take note of when you craft your content on LinkedIn. So first of all, be very, very mindful of who exactly you're targeting on the platform, whether it's senior management, what industry they belong to, what age range they could be, whether it's the younger or older age range. This will give you a very good idea of the kind of content they might be looking out for. And these are just some examples that we pulled out from a couple of B2B brands globally. And also try to explore more different post formats, basically, to transform more technical information, as I mentioned, into more visually captivating formats. So on the screen now, you can see a couple of illustrations and infographics, and try to use headlines as well that are easy to understand and without using too many jargons, because we know that in some industry, the business owners tend to be very familiar with the jargons, but just be mindful that sometimes your target audience are not as savvy as you are, and it's better to be simple rather than to use too many complicated words. Another tip for you would be, in order for you to increase your organic reach, since it's so expensive to run ads on LinkedIn, how can you increase your organic reach easily? It's similar to Facebook and similar to what Lionel brought you through. If you do have a mention of another company or one of your employees within your post itself, try to tag these companies in the caption or these individuals in the caption whenever they are mentioned. Because what LinkedIn would then do is they would serve your ad to followers of these companies and the individuals as well. So you are effectively, reaching more people without having the need to pay the extra ad dollars to reach that same amount of people. And just a final few tips for LinkedIn before I move on to Instagram would be, once again, the importance of boosting your content. And, if you are a business that is serious about using LinkedIn as a marketing platform for your business, learning to boost your content in our next session on the 24th of August, learning to do so would really enable you to grow your follower base and especially establish your presence in the LinkedIn community. And this is important, especially if you are a new brand on LinkedIn and you're just starting out and trying to gain that presence on the platform. And last but not least, just remember that quantity is not quality on LinkedIn. A lot of business owners that we have spoken to or come across, some of them, they believe that, they should share as many articles as they can in the day. And the thing is, if your content is not relevant to your business or it's not relevant to the target audience, you may end up actually doing more harm to your brand. And one way you can even think of it would be LinkedIn is like your business within a networking event. And whatever you say at that event is essentially a reflection of, how others see you as a professional. So similarly, we always encourage businesses to think before you post and have a clear objective in mind for all your content that you plan. Okay, so now with that, I will be moving on to the third and final platform, which is Instagram. And it is definitely a lot simpler to explain Instagram as a platform because, again, for those of you who use it, you would know that it's a very, very visual-led, very video-based platform. And the first thing that you would see when you open an app would be, a standard image or a video itself. And this means that in order to use Instagram, you will need to be able to learn to use your visuals and your videos to capture attention even before the users read the captions or even notice the brand that is, posting the content. So if LinkedIn was your brand's networking event, Instagram, we would say, would be your brand's art gallery. And any piece of content that doesn't grab their attention visually would, cause the user to just scroll past without even looking. Another thing to note for Instagram would be that it does have a younger demographic of users as compared to Facebook and LinkedIn. So all the way from young teens to young working adults between 25 to 35. So if you are a brand that is looking to target this age group, Instagram would be that primary platform for you to use. And due to the very strong, competition from TikTok, as most of you would have heard, Instagram has also in recent years, introduced a lot more functions and formats to equip users, with these tools to produce more engaging content. So things like Instagram Stories and IGTV are just probably functions that you have heard of in the past few years. And the platform is constantly evolving. Every other month or every other year, they will be launching something new. And lastly, the ad buying tool, just for those of you who are not aware, because Instagram does belong to Facebook, so they do share the same Facebook ad manager, and that is something that we will be going through again in our next webinar. Okay, so moving on to the most common formats that you would see on Instagram. Again, as you see on this slide, most of these are very visual or video based, and the first and most standard sort of format would be the image or video posts, or what you call GIFs on Instagram. And always, when you craft your visuals and your images, try to make sure that your visuals have a point of focus, because if you clutter your post with too much information, or it's just too difficult to understand, too wordy, chances are you will lose the audience almost immediately and they will just scroll past. The second one is a relatively new platform. It was introduced in 2018, IGTV. And as its name suggests, it is a platform or a function within Instagram for you to post longer form videos. Previously, prior to 2018, there was a limit to the video duration on Instagram. But now brands are able to post a much longer form video for brands that have like longer video content, this has essentially replaced the traditional TV sort of content that people are used to watch, and now you can consume it easily on Instagram. And the third format that you might have seen more of during the past year, during COVID, would be Instagram Live. So this is the same, it works the same way as Facebook Live. So the user or the brand gets to stream themselves and conduct, interviews, do product reviews. And some also use it as a platform to perform and engage with the fans in real time. So this is a very, very engaging format that a lot of brands have started to adopt, especially because, they are encouraged to stay home and users need to sort of kill time from home. And this is a very engaging live stream that people love to tune into. And the last format, which is probably the last format that I would like to go through for Instagram, which is probably the most common format nowadays, would be Instagram Stories. So this is again a function within Instagram. It is a platform for you to film or post short vertical videos or images that will disappear after 24 hours. And a lot of brands have found it much easier to capture attention and engage their audiences using Instagram Stories. Firstly, because the entire screen is dedicated to your brand. So when users view it, that gives you a lot of that real estate to work with, and you can get creative with the kind of content that you post on it. And secondly, if you look on the rightmost screen grab, there are a lot of functions that Instagram will constantly add for you to interact with your followers. So you can ask open-ended questions, you can conduct polls, you can run countdowns, things like that. And so these are the main formats that you would often see on Instagram. And in terms of best practices, obviously, first of all, it's very important. I sound like a broken record, but it's so important for your content to be eye-catching above everything else. Play around with the different formats that are available on Instagram. And, when you are crafting your visual, you don't have to, always create fanciful designs or, use bright neon colors in your artwork. But this is where, creativity really does play a role in finding a very aesthetic way to present your content. What you can do is to create GIFs to add movement to your ads, or if you have a lot of information to share, You can break them up into a carousel format, like the example on the left side. So you can split your information into bite-sized images instead of flooding all of it into one or flooding all the information into the caption. The next important point to note once again, is to boost your content. And if you notice, this is a consistent recommendation across all three social media platforms that we've gone through today, because organic reach at some point will become close to zero. And even if your brand, has 10,000 followers or, even more than that, at some point less, or currently in today's context, less than 5% of your followers actually see your post, and unless you boost your ad to them. So this is something that we'll go through again in detail in our next webinar. Thirdly and lastly, this is something that is often overlooked, but unlike Facebook or even LinkedIn, links that are placed in your Instagram captions are not clickable. And for brands who do so, it does make it frustrating for users if they wish to visit your website or landing page for more. Instead, always remember to place your links in your bio instead, where it's clickable. And when you craft your caption, do always remember to include the word link in bio, because Instagram users are very familiar with this, and they would immediately just hit your profile to click the link to find out more. Secondly, for Instagram specifically, it is very important for you to include hashtags that are related to your content. Again, don't put 20 over hashtags that are irrelevant. Choose hashtags that are related to your content, because that does to some extent help to increase your organic reach. And some users on Instagram actually do have the habit as well to of following certain hashtags, such as SG food or SG promo, things like that. And with that, I would like to quickly summarize all three platforms that Lionel and I have covered in the session today. So for Facebook, you have learned that it's the most popular platform in Singapore and also the region, and primarily used by brands to gain that large volume of reach in a very cost-efficient way. And for LinkedIn, while it has very high advertising costs, it does have that hyper-targeting capabilities to ensure that your ad does reach the right audiences that you have selected. And lastly, for Instagram, you've learned that it is a visual-led platform that can be used to target a younger demographic with very interesting formats like Instagram stories and IGTV to engage with your audience. So back to Lionel's very first question at the start, how you want to get more clients. And if you would like to use social media to get more clients and customers, always refer back to this framework that we have put together for you. It's also what we call the Holy Trinity in social media marketing in general. And what you should be aiming for always is the center of this Venn diagram, which is always to craft the right content that plays to the platform's strengths, and always target your ads to the right audiences using the right messages. And once you manage to tick all three boxes, you would have essentially formed your very own social media strategy for your business. So I do hope that our session today has given you a clearer idea of how the three platforms work. And in our next webinar in 3 weeks, we will be going one step further to show you what goes behind the scenes with Facebook and LinkedIn ad managers. And, of course, how you should be tracking your performance as well for your social media content. With that, I will pass the time back to Hui Wen before we have our Q&A session. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Denise and Lionel. That was a really insightful session. So I'm just going to quickly wrap up the session by bringing you guys through how you can access the Partner Marketing Fund. Okay, so yeah, if you are not yet a Xero partner, simply scan the QR code on the screen now, or simply enter the URL into your browser, and you'll be able to fill in the application form, and someone from our team will be in touch to get you started on your Xero partner journey. For existing Xero partners, as we mentioned earlier, it's currently available for silver, gold, and platinum partners only. However, if you're a starter or bronze partner, simply reach out to your Xero account manager, and they will be able to discuss with you how they can help you to access the Partner Marketing Fund. For silver, gold, and platinum partners, if you already have marketing activities in the works and would like to assess if you can claim for your marketing activities, scan the QR code on the right or enter the URL into your browser, and you will be redirected to the Partner Marketing Fund landing page. And from there, you'll be able to get more information about how it works and how you can claim for your marketing activities. So if it's okay, even if you do not have any marketing activities planned now, this marketing fund is available for you throughout the year. So you can always start to think of what you want to do in the second half of the year. So most of the questions have already been answered via the Q&A. We have typed out the answer for you, so you should be able to see it when you click on the Q&A box. With that, I would like to actually end the session today. And before I do that, I just want to direct you guys to the next 2 upcoming sessions that we have in our marketing webinar series. So the first session, as Denise and Lionel have mentioned, is happening on 24th of August, where they will be joining us again to teach you how to navigate the ad manager for the 3 social media platforms that they have mentioned earlier. On 7th of September, you can also join the session to learn more about how you can generate leads for your practice through digital marketing. So to register for that session, you can scan the QR code or enter the URL. We'll be sharing the slides with you after as well, so don't worry if you didn't catch the links in time. So lastly, post-webinar survey will appear on your browser after this. So we really appreciate your feedback and would like to hear how you have enjoyed today's session, and also let us know how we can tailor the next webinar to suit you better. So before I let you guys go, we are currently running an annual Singapore accounting industry study. And this study is really targeted for accountants and bookkeepers to benchmark your practice against others in areas of client management, practice growth, technological tech adoption trends, and much more. So you can scan the QR code or enter the URLs as usual. And if you are coming from Hong Kong, we also have a study that's for you. And similarly, the study is the same, just that it's more specific to Hong Kong practices. And you have the choice to complete either the English version or the Cantonese version of the survey. So thanks for staying with us to the end today. And that's the end of today's session. Once again, I just want to thank Lionel and Denise again for a very great presentation. And we look forward to seeing you at the next one on 24th of August.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.